3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from 3 Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. These are Cassian Fridays. I know they don't rhyme. It's fine.
It's not good.
We're
not as cool as Molly Damon,
cool.
you know. She has
with the ANDOR. Yeah, I know that they're smarter than us. Sorry. But we are talking about all the ANDOR episodes, episode by episode. Today, focusing on episode 4, Aldhani. And we have Joanne, who's back, and joining us once again, Chris Ryons from Broaxium. Welcome back to the show.
The coolest dude of the Poodoo crew, the best bro, the bro side, and one of the bros.
I am not. I'm just the old guy.
We won't tell the other ones that we said. Yeah. It'll be a secret here. Yeah. How's it going, man? It's been a minute since we've been.
I haven't seen you since. Well, at least Goose, I haven't seen you since Celebration.
Yeah,
it was a good time. So.
I wasn't able to make it, so
next time.
There will be
whenever the one after London is.
London's
gonna be a
hard.
time that we'll all get together. Maybe what we just need to do is do like an unofficial podcasters celebration retreat and just all get an Airbnb for a week or something. People can come in and just have a grand old time without having to worry about panels. Just come in there.
Yeah. I'm down. I'm down, brother.
Oh my God, but there's so much to talk about. There's so much going on. Like it's really, really like a really good time for Star Wars. Obviously, we just got Andor. We have a bunch of comic books that are also have been coming out. Now we got High Republic Phase 2 coming out, which I'm super excited for, and we'll talk about a little bit later. Then we got Tales of the Jedi, Bad Batch.
Yeah.
It's a freight train, and I'm loving. I'm just there on the track,
Smorgasburg,
waiting to get run over.
Yeah, I am laying on the tracks like just give me.
It's like, if Star Wars on the Disney is this bad, I don't want to be right. It's oh my God. But Nani and I have been talking a lot about Andor recently for scheduling reasons, I guess. So like we're gonna take a little bit of a back seat on this one and just kind of moderate and have Joanne and Chris kind of take the lead here in terms of like what's happening with their perceptions of Andor, especially episode 4. But since we haven't heard your guys' opinions on 1 through 3, we want to kind of start there. So Chris, I guess I'll start with you first. What has been your opinion of Andor so far up to episode 3? I don't know why I keep calling it season. Up to episode 3.
It is wishful thinking that there's going to be more seasons, but we know how it ends.
Yeah,
we know how it ends.
We do.
Spoiler alert.
I'm not one for ranking like this is better than this one, that sort of thing. All Star Wars, so I love everything equally except for the holiday special and the Ewoks cartoon. But this may be the best written Star Wars show, and not just best written, but like the dialogue is so. It's so grounded and it's just like it's a different take on storytelling within the Star Wars universe, and it's fantastic. I'm absolutely gripped, and I love every aspect of it. Like when I was watching those first 3 episodes at 3 a.m. all 3, I had to go to work the next day. Who cares? But
not important.
Oh, Lord.
I'll be fine. I watched those, and then there were moments when I'm watching it and I had to go, oh yeah, this is Star Wars. Like, because I just forgot just with with the visuals you're seeing, the locales you're seeing, the whole Lord of the Flies kind of stuff going on with Casa. On what's the name of that planet?
My ancestor planet. There we go. Good.
Just seeing that, and then everything on Ferrix was so just different from anything. And in the first scene, when you see him walking into the that space brothel, and that's a first. That is a first for Star Wars. I mean, you knew it was in the galaxy. That kind of stuff is in the galaxy, but you never see it. Right. And the fact that we're getting to see that is it's spectacular. So any kind of new take on something that we haven't seen in the galaxy, I'm all for it. And this one has been giving us, it's been plentiful with
Yes.
new visions, with new aspects of Star Wars. So yeah, I'm all about it.
It is definitely like it's the same ingredients but a new dish, and it's so delicious. And this is the good thing about Star Wars. We're being fed so well that it's just like I just hope it never ends, because I want to keep eating the smorgasbords that we're getting. Joanne, how about you? I think you recently were able to see, because
right, yeah,
able to see this is more fresh in your mind.
Yeah,
our friend Fiona.
Right. I just got to see it today. So
it's right there.
Right. I saw the 4 episodes today. So
Nice.
yeah, but yeah, I think it's everything I've expected so far. And everything started like to escalate until we get to episode 4. And episode 4 is definitely a blast. Like we are at Coruscant, and I mean, it's a fantastic series. So I have to say that my first looking impressions about Andor is definitely what I expected, and the way they are managed and how the characters perform their roles actually.
Right, because like the acting, not to say how the acting has ever been bad, because Obi-Wan Kenobi had incredible acting from Ewan.
Yeah, but the casting in this has been mind-blowing.
Right. Yes,
how well they fit those characters and how real they feel. Like you were saying, Chris, that the dialogue is so grounded. It really makes you feel like you're there, because sometimes, especially the prequels, the writing, sometimes it's like real people don't speak like that. Like it kind of takes you away from the scene sometimes. I love the prequels too, it took me time to love them, but I love everything. But this feels like real people speaking,
Right.
And it's
and
interesting
I
because
love
for me,
Stellan acting.
Yeah,
I have to say that I love Stellan acting. Like, he's great with.
Oh yeah.
And we'll talk about his acting, because I think particularly in episode 4. There's the one scene that's just like, I think is taking the internet by storm. But the acting, it's such a good point, because I even compare it with Rogue One, which I love Rogue One, and Diego Luna obviously is in that one for anyone who hasn't seen it. And like all the performances there were excellent. Even Diego was great in it, but it seems like Diego's game has just like been elevated
it's a new dimension
here, and it's just like I don't know what it is, because I mean it's more or less the same people involved. Tony Gilroy is obviously still part of Rogue One, so like there's something about this show that's really, really special, and it feels like there's a lot more love and seriousness, right, to everything. And now again, not to talk negatively about all the other shows, because all the other shows are also full of love and like really good performances and things, but there's something that's especially different about this.
I think one of the things is, and I've said this as I was talking to a couple of Broaxium guys, like this is like off camera, but one of the things, and I'm like, if we never get another movie, I'm okay with that, because these series, because the series are able to really like pinpoint and really kind of stretch out the story so that you get every aspect. Not everything is going to be crammed into an hour and a half or 2 hour movie. In this way, you really get to learn these characters, and I think that's what's happening, especially with Diego Luna's character. And that's so he gets to like explore all these different aspects of Cassian's life. So that's why one reason why I think that like what you were saying as far as him taking it to another level, like when you stretch it out like this, you're able to really get down to the nitty-gritty of these characters.
Get more storytelling.
I think it also speaks to like having a showrunner like Tony Gilroy, which is not he's not a Star Wars fan, which I think some people take it to mean that he's never seen Star Wars. I'm pretty sure the dude's seen Star Wars. It's pretty ridiculous, but he's not. He doesn't have that
zeal.
Passion and zeal and obsession that a couple of us may or may not have for this franchise. And I think that really helps him kind of not have it behold as a precious thing that I have to craft something that fits the world. He can just I'm just going to tell human stories and then just plug the Star Wars right into it, which I think that's where the story group comes in. I don't know for a fact, but it just feels like he just writes the script, and maybe he just writes Earth locations and things like that, and then Pablo Hidalgo or whoever just comes in and say, okay, this is gonna be this, and this is it's not steel, it's door steel, as you know, and like just change everything to give it that Star Wars flavor. Maybe that's what's happening, but it kind of it feels very refreshing, but still Star Wars.
Absolutely, absolutely,
definitely. This has been asked to us, so I want to ask both of you. How have you felt about the pacing and the fact that it feels like those first 3 episodes were one arc, and now in episode 4, we're going into another arc, probably another 3-episode arc. So how have you felt about that?
I have to say that the spacing was quite great. And the time frame of every episode, like they were just perfect. Like it was like 38 minutes, 40 minutes in each, something like that. And I have to say that the way it started, like knowing like and understanding the character of Diego Luna, it's quite perfect because you know it starts differently with his perspective. And I think I would say the spacing, it was great on time and everything was nice.
What about you?
I'm kind of glad that it got pushed back from August 31st, because I think we're only going to get 2 episodes, not only, but we're going to get 2 episodes when it first premiered, and then
right
in
the middle,
right? They're jumping it back to the September, the end of September, and then decide to make it 3. That worked out a whole lot better, getting those 3 episodes, because that was a great primer for where this series is going. So it feels like that was like a introduction movie. You got those first 3, and now the series has started.
Yeah, that was like the prologue, and then we get for reals in episode 4.
Now we got episode 4. And we're motivated.
But I want to repeat one question, which is the same vein of what Nani was asking. It's something that Alex and Molly were asking us last night. Do you, like, after getting like 3 episodes in a chunk, in a chunk, so you could see like everything, and now having like the first part of the second arc, and like not getting to know how, having to wait a week for the next one, does it change your mind on like the method by which we're consuming these shows? Like, do you want them to just do the dump of all the episodes so you can just watch them in a row, or do you think that the weekly thing it's going to work for Andor? Because these episodes are kind of, you kind of need all of them to kind of understand the arc itself. So Chris, what do you think?
I have no willpower. I want it all right now. But I will I'll take the week to week, but I would rather just have it all right now. Like,
just give it to me.
Just give me all the Star Wars. I'm gonna watch it all. I would rather just have it all, but I know there are people who would rather do it week to week. That gives us time to really have these conversations and
digest.
So I get that, but I'd rather just scarf it all down immediately.
Who needs to go to work?
Yeah.
Joanne, what about you? What do you prefer?
I definitely have to say, I would prefer having it all at once, and I actually did have the first 4 at once.
And you seem to have enjoyed that.
I mean, it's the bright side of like the downside of the European feeling that we had here.
One downside, right?
Right. So this is the like the good side of it, that I got to see the 4 episodes all at once. And maybe my perspective would have been a little bit different if I've like had the time space between 1 week, like, because for me it was perfect that the timing and everything was perfect. But I got to watch them all together. Maybe if it was like I only see the first episode and then I have to wait another week, so I will be like, come on, I have to see another episode now.
Right. But I don't know. I like the weekly format thing, because I always compare it to like all these HBO shows like Game of Thrones and Westworld and all that stuff. And I remember when we were in normal times in the pre-COVID era, where everyone's in the office. I remember every Monday, so everyone's huddling like in the kitchen and just be like, hey, what you think? And it's just like that whole, and then the whole week, what do you think's gonna happen next? And it's just like this whole conversation for like weeks and weeks of like, as the show is developing, and it feels a lot more dynamic in terms of like how we're
as opposed to
with the
Stranger
show.
Things
As opposed to
that I
Stranger
swear
Things,
to
like,
God, every
it's
time a new
done,
season
yeah.
starts, I forget what happened the season
Right.
previous because
Because,
since
like-
I binged it in one weekend, it's like, okay, I already watched it. Out of sight, out of
true.
mind.
There's some merits. There's some merits to both. Maybe the compromise with Andor could have been you just release it in arc chunks. Like here's 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And that way everyone, no one's completely happy, but no one is miserable.
Right.
But we're done talking about all that junk. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes, so to speak. Let's go to Aldhani, episode 4 of Andor, which saw the return of the Queen, Mon Mothma, which we were all so excited for, especially after seeing that she was absent for those first 3 episodes.
I know that was surprising that they did that, but I think it was a
isn't
really
she the
good call.
co-lead? Yeah, exactly. So initial reactions from you guys. What do you think coming into like episode 4, especially with seeing like how the show is being structured with 1 through 3? What was your initial reaction to seeing Aldhani? Let's start with you, Chris.
Sorry, me?
Yeah.
Oh,
No worries.
I love what they done with her character, and there's so much like there's unlike seeing her in Rebels or those deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith. There is such an air of anxiety with her that is it's damn near uncomfortable, with what she's going through. And Luthen is out there, like he's out there, but he's very much in the shadows, where she is front and center and has like so much to deal with and so much to dodge and has to look over her shoulder all the time, especially with her saying like, I go to the bank, there's new people there, there's new spies in the Senate, this new driver, and I don't know, what his deal is, and it's messed up. And then she has that incredibly crappy husband at home, so
we'll get to him.
She's got it bad. And but I love what they're what they're doing with the character. And it helps, just like with Rogue One did, where it shattered my perception of the rebellion. Like the moment that Cassian shot that informant in the back, that split moment, I was like, wow, the rebellion is something completely different than what I've known, 30 years or so of me being a Star Wars fan. At that point. And with her, knowing her from, Return of the Jedi and seeing the rebellion as, pristine and just utterly heroic and all that stuff. And now you're seeing like that there's some very real, like they were basically, they're she's a criminal, in this society. And just seeing her in this different light, I just thought it was amazing and so well done.
Joanne, what did you think? What was your initial reaction to the episode?
I have to say that I love how characters evolved, and I love the way it was, like how the rebellion was portrayed. They're like sort of like margins, sort of like they're only like a few people like starting the rebellion, and I loved the fact that it started that way, and we actually get to see that. So I for this episode we get to see that part, which on the first 3 episodes we didn't. So it's it's a really good episode to like. I wanted that episode to start already.
Right. I was like,
So when I get to see the episode 4, it hits there, and that's my impression. It is really good.
No,
that is exactly where you wanted to be in episode 4.
Definitely.
I agree. I agree with all of those things, because especially, to your point, Chris, when we look at the rebellion, especially in Return of the Jedi, it seems like this, altruistic and very pristine and ideal group that's only killing bad guys and like nameless faces that are just
and there's
evil.
only bad guys in the Empire. There's no
there's no
people who actually believe. Yeah, they're just bad guys.
There's no guys that are just like working at the Death Star because that's the only job they could get. So but that's what I think this show has, and Rogue One has been that so important, because it's like that's just an impossible standard to any rebellion that we'll have in our lives. It starts right without kind of knowing like how it's gonna shape up to be the ideal that you have in your mind, and seeing that sometimes you do have to make compromises, and sometimes things don't go the way you want them to go. It's really, really clever because one, it kind of makes it real. It kind of makes it seem like, okay, we can aspire to that because we are going through those things in our day-to-day lives. But Mon Mothma is just like incredible to me because it's just like she's a person now, right? Instead of just like this monolith, right? That we see of idealism and perfection. You know, the new chancellor of the New Republic, and all these things. It's gorgeous queen clad in white and red hair. And now it's just like, no, the girl needs a Valium because like she's got some shit going on. Like, you know, it's a
and like you were saying, it's not just like the sense of anxiety. There's just like tension all the time. Like, who's spying on me? No support at home. My husband is throwing parties and bringing my enemies into my house without telling me about it. You know, it's kind of intense.
There's tension between both of them.
that's an understatement.
And she still manages to look amazing.
but it goes back to what we were talking about elevating like the source material, because like we said, Diego Luna's character in Rogue One, awesome. But then like Andor is just giving him that extra dimension that just takes that performance to that next level. And it's the same with Genevieve O'Reilly and Mon Mothma. Like Mon Mothma has always been cool, and we've always had like good portrayals of her. But like now, just in that one scene, which I believe actually she gets more screen time in that one scene with Luthen than she has gotten like in all the rest of like live action media, which is mind blowing to me. But you get so much more nuance to her character and understand like that. She's stressed. It's not easy because being a senator is probably hard. Then you got to buy a stupid ass expensive gift for your stupid ass dumb husband. And then when you get home, he's not a nice house husband who's just like mopping floors and getting dinner ready for you. He's just like giving you crap, telling you you're boring, then bringing your closest enemies into your house, and it's just like no support and a dumb haircut. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
That's nice though.
So
take his outfit.
That's the least I expect from him. You're gonna get a stipend from your rich ass wife. You better dress to the nines.
I mean, you live in that penthouse, you better have nice outfits to go with them, you know?
So he comes. I saw someone, I forgot who it was, but someone online posted, oh, he comes from the Tim school of being like a shitty boyfriend. Actually, it might be the other way around. Maybe Tim comes from Mon Mothma's husband's school. Shitty boyfriend. Because I was convinced last night that he is worse than Tim, because at least Tim cared about Bix. And it looks like our friend, I'm not going to name him because it's like, he who shall not be named. We do not name bad people in this show. Mon Mothma's husband is crap. But that's enough of me taking a dump on this guy. Chris, what did you think of Mon Mothma's stupid ass boyfriend?
Husband.
You said it all. You said it all right there. Do we know, as far as Chandrilan customs, is that an arranged marriage? Because that's one thing I heard of that
I heard something marriage. Like that too, and that they were married since she was 16 or something. We're like, maybe you want to retcon that, because kind of
things are different in space as far as
it's true. If Queen Amidala can be a queen at 16, then maybe
But I think that at first I was like, ha, 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 he's kind of funny. Then I'm like, oh no, wait, no, you're a piece of shit. Okay. He was not thinking. He was not thinking when you're going to invite Sly Moore of all people to
and call her fun.
Into a senator's house who, like, you know, is someone who they are vehemently against. You know, they already have suspicions of her. That's just a bad look. Like he's not thinking. He doesn't care. He's just living that good life on Coruscant while you know, she's just dealing with enemies at all fronts, and that's unfortunate. And hopefully, like Tim, something terrible happens to him.
Here's hoping.
Or he learns to actually not be a complete douche canoe. So, you know, we'll see.
Well, if he stops being a douche nozzle, you know that means that he's gonna bite the dust.
He's probably gonna have to go. Yeah.
Because if Tim gotta go, he gotta go. I don't care. He can be redeemed, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have to go.
I called Tim's death like not like I was expecting. I was like, no, he's got to go. Something's got to happen.
You messed around, find out.
Incredibly satisfying. Yeah.
Joanne, what did you think about this incredible human being that we call Mon Mothma's husband?
I have to say I wouldn't be satisfied arriving to my home and out of the blue that they don't appreciate me. So I would say like
right,
something weird here. So yeah, so like he's an incredible guy.
But that's the thing, like, can you imagine like that situation? Like you come home from work, especially after buying your significant other a nice
well, and
gift.
especially considering that her job is dangerous. Like her actual job is one thing, plus she's trying to work for the rebellion and she's doing all these things. You would think home would be a safe harbor. No,
and
no safe harbor.
And he knows that she bought him a gift, and he's still like unsupportive, which is one of the good things that I think this show is doing. Is kind of like giving us all the examples of like what toxic masculinity can be. With Syril Karn being a bootlicker, then you got Tim being like one version of a non-supporting partner, and then you get Mon Mothma's husband. It's like all these different examples of like how you can just be a terrible man. And it's just like, well, let's just deconstruct that and just.
I mean, even Andor himself, because there's something there with Bix and he screwed that up somewhere along the line. Like they've managed to salvage the friendship, but something happened, and she calls him on it too. So it is really cool that like they're making the men accountable for their bad behaviors, even our main character. So I think it's great.
But I do not think, and I want to hear everyone's take on this one. I do not think that Mon Mothma and her husband share a bedroom. I think they have separate bedrooms.
No.
Oh, for sure.
Debate. Okay, no debate.
We are full on like royal families. They have separate wings on that penthouse.
Which leads to the next question then. If they're not intimate or like not that close and like they don't get along, does that mean that he doesn't know about her comings and goings with the rebellion? Is he like completely unaware of that side of her life? Or do you think that he's, because otherwise he wouldn't do all this crap, right?
I don't think he knows. I hope he doesn't.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting.
Invited to dinner. Yeah, I hope he doesn't.
And I really hope that we get to see that dinner play out. And I hope Slightmore shows up. It's like, come on, you gave us Coruscant, give us, and you did the name drop. We gotta see.
You gotta do it.
And there's gonna be an awkward conversation between her and Mon Mothma, or at least some side eye, because otherwise, all set up and no payoff, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another toxic character here from this episode. We didn't get a lot of screen time, but it's still, I think they're prepping him up to like come back with a vengeance, so to speak. And that's Syril Karn. We saw him in episodes 1 through 3 being a bootlicker, trying to become the best Imperial he can be, even though he's just a mall cop, and he got fired for being useless and incompetent.
Now he has to go back to Mama and get slapped in the face.
Now he has to go back to his mom's house, little incel that he is. What did we think of like that development for his character now in episode 4? And what do we think is cooking for him as the season's gonna progress? Chris, let's start with you.
I think that dude is that I'm glad that we see him go home and we see him what happened. Like as soon as I saw him and interact with his mother, I was like, okay, we're about to see like why he is the way he is. There's definitely something not good going on at home, and I keep hearing that his mother's like a what do they call that? Like a helicopter parent, like always on him.
Oh yeah,
that's
overprotective mother.
Yeah, and I think that at first he was like he's very gung ho about doing his job and like these officers got killed and we need to blah 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 blah, and his boss is like, look, just say this and that, we're good.
Yeah.
Just take care of it, because I don't need to hear anything from the Empire. And then he does exactly the opposite, and everything that his boss said would happen because he screwed up spectacularly. So I think that this is either going to where could he go from here? Like he may join the Empire at some point, but I think that I keep believing that his whole being is going to get rocked down to its core, and I think that he may wind up being a rebel by the end of this series.
Oh,
interesting.
Hot take. Okay.
Yeah.
Joanne, what do you think about our friend Syril Karn?
I would say like he's like really Nazi.
Yeah, he's SS youth all the way. Yeah,
and I may even say arrogant. Like you know, like Chris said, he did exactly the opposite of like he had to do, and like everything ended up happening the wrong way, and you know I didn't like that character.
Well, so props to the acting though, because you just kind of hate him immediately.
Kyle Soller.
But I was about to say, like, there's a lot of things going on in his head. Like, well, we see his eyes while he was performing the act. I mean, there were like many background stuff happening inside his acting. So I think it was a nice character. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, I think that's the point. He's really unlikable. Yeah. He's so holier than thou, and I know better than my own bosses, and I'm going to show them the true meaning of justice. And and he screwed up.
There's something mysterious about his character. There's something behind that we still don't know. Like, I love Chris' perspective that maybe he may become part of like the rebel. I just didn't.
He's gonna be the Agent Callus.
Like what actually drives him.
I didn't say it that way, but there is something like mysterious about him. Like there's something there.
Because I was on the team, kind of like Mon Mothma's husband, that if they get redemption, they'll get got. But I can if he.
Oh no, he's not going to survive this series. But I think he's going to. I think yeah. I think whatever is going to happen, he's going to break whatever indoctrination that's been happening with him, like his whole life or whatever, and he'll Kylo Ren it. So by the end of it, by the time he turns back, it'll be too late for him. So
let's kill the good guys after they redeem themselves.
There was a funny part when he got to meet his mom, and then there was someone at the back.
He's like, what are you looking at?
That's scary.
The nosy neighbors. It's those details that makes it feel very real. Like you could live in this version of Star Wars.
Absolutely.
And the fact that it's not done, and I don't mean this as a knock against the volume. I love the volume, but the fact that it's also not filmed in the volume as an actual locations makes the world feel even more expansive than it is. Because Coruscant, I don't think has looked better in terms of like how it's portrayed in film, even though it does feel a little more depressing than it did in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and I think that's purposeful. Let's talk about that. Everyone's been expecting the return of Coruscant in the sequel trilogy, and it's like, okay, well, the capital of the New Republic's in Coruscant. No, it's Hosting Prime. Oh, well, like in Revenge, in Rise of Skywalker, we have to go back, and nope, we're not. Instead, you get another desert planet. So like everyone's hopes and dreams of seeing Coruscant seems to have been destroyed in every live action adaptation, except finally here on Andor.
We got a little bit of background in Obi-Wan,
and Rogue One, we got to see like in the flashback a little bit of Coruscant.
But this was in all its splendor, so we see it like from space and then actually inside of Coruscant. So what did you guys think of this version of Coruscant? We'll start with you, Chris.
Spectacular. When he showed it, I was whatever. When you got to see it, and seeing Imperial occupied Coruscant, was even better. Just to see like what it's like down on the ground, so to speak, in this Imperial times, and in this whole age of the Empire, Coruscant, which we rarely, or if at all, got to see. So
it's a completely different mood.
Yeah. I've only seen it in comics, but it matches up, and it's fantastic.
So to actually see it must have been since you were expecting it from the comics, because I don't read the comics, so
that's okay.
Should.
But you see it from time to time in the comics.
Yeah.
But seeing it live action is different. Not going to say it's better or worse or whatever, but But it's just it's nice to see it. Like it hits different.
Gratifying to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joanne, did you feel any emotions when you saw Coruscant well, I was gonna say the big screen, but on the HD screen again?
I have to say emotions were everywhere. You know, episode 4 having like going back to Coruscant and like Nani said, like having those aerial views and you know, having the Imperials there. I think it was really nice to have Coruscant back.
And especially with how it's reframed, like how you're saying, Chris, it's like it's Imperial Coruscant, so we don't because last time we saw it, right, and we saw it like in the prequels, it's like all shiny and sparkly and everything's new, and the sun hits it the right way. It just looks majestic and pristine. And when we go
now, it's so
down,
monochrome.
yeah, exactly. There's no neon anymore.
Yeah.
It's just brutalist, and
Just
it's
gunmetal
like,
gray everywhere. That's all.
It looks fantastic, but it also kind of shows how far things have come since the Empire. But however, we do get one very, very, very nice building, and it's the Imperial Security Bureau, which who would have known that such a institution of the Empire would have such nice interiors. What was it like to actually, because that was like a big thing for me too. Like I was just like, I've been reading about the ISB and the books and stuff, and it's just like this, presence right in the Empire that we've never seen. All of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, here we are. We're in the ISB, we're in the headquarters, and we're in the boardroom. And how was that? Were you guys expecting to like actually be that into like book lore and just see it in live action?
I was hoping very much that we would get to see some kind of as much as we see stuff with the rebels and them converse with one another and that sort of thing, we got a little bit of it in Rebels, in the Rebels cartoon. We get a lot of it in the comics and in the novels, but just seeing Coruscant, Imperial occupied Coruscant, seeing the inner working, seeing the Imperials without rebels attack or anything like that, just seeing them in their element and doing their thing and having their conversations and whatnot is I've been wanting to see that for a long time. It doesn't really show them, and I guess in a different light to a degree. It shows the Imperials, but it's so fascinating to see them just in their everyday. You can give me a Star Wars show about just mundane stuff that happens in Star Wars. You can just everyone's day to day.
Yeah, people doing their jobs.
And I would just watch it. So I love what they did, and I hope we get more of those interactions going forward in the show.
One thing that and it's because now they fed me Coruscant, so now I want more. So the one thing that I even thinking about it just gives me goosebumps is just thinking, well, if we're going to, because we know we're going to see the Imperial Senate from the inside. So I'm just in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, we got establishing shots from Coruscant. So does that mean we're going to get an exterior shot of the Imperial Senate? And I just got chills saying it. And beyond that, are we going to be able to see the Jedi Temple with all the Imperial, regalia like in the comics? Because now that's Emperor Palpatine's palace. And I'm just like, if they do that, I'll throw myself out a window. Because that is one thing that from the comic I don't read all the comics like you. Chris, apologies, but from all the comics that I have read, where every time that they show that image of the Jedi Temple with the Imperial banners and stuff, and it's like it's just so. I don't know.
That's not cool, man.
Yeah, it's just like they're desecrating a good thing. And
to see it here, considering how amazing they have been, it's been so visually stunning that to see these things that we are kind of lacking in a lot of the series that have been coming out and stuff, and then to have it recreated in such a beautiful way. If we could actually see the Jedi Temple and everything, I think everybody's mind's going to be blown. So here's hoping.
Is there anything from Coruscant that we haven't seen that you guys want to see or expecting? Or
I'd love to see the lower levels.
Beyond, but even more below from Syril Karn. Syril Karn's not that down though.
Yeah.
I think he's
halfway.
Middle. He's like middle class, something like that. I think. But I mean, like I'm talking
bottom now
down and dirty
during the Empire. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's where we'll see. If Cassian makes it to Coruscant at all, I think
it would be there probably. Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't even.
What did you think about the ISB, Joanne?
The what? Oh,
That's
the
yeah, with the Imperials. Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. I love the perspective between like we get to see Mon Mothma and then we get to see what was her name?
Deirdre. Yeah.
Yeah. And you
She
know,
was amazing too.
yeah, like we get to see all, you know, the Imperial security and we get to see two perspectives, one from Mon Mothma, who like is establishing the rebellion, and then her side of the Imperials. So
but I think that was a really cool thing of like that board meeting or which could have been an email, I guess, but like seeing how they see themselves and how the Imperials are different from the rebels, right? Because I mean, we haven't even talked about Cassian at all, like his arc.
We've barely talked about Cassian because there's so much going on.
Coruscant.
So much. Yeah.
oh, and I love the part where like Deidre actually like, okay, she was telling that these things like were escalating and there's things that are happening on the side, but we get to see the side of the of what Diego Luna always say, like they're so fat and satisfied that they wouldn't even know that we are like we're here. So like it was like simplified in that episode, like get to other matters and you know let's do other stuff and stop worrying about this little stuff, and it isn't that way, you know. We get to see that side also.
Because they're only health providers. They're just eradicating disease. I love that. I love the health providers thing.
It's a great way to frame it. Yeah. It's a great way to frame it because they don't see people as people or problems as problems. They just see them as infections, and it's something that they just need to cure and not actually reform, for lack of a better word. But that scene also plays so strongly against the planning scene when like Cassian and like the rest of the rebels are starting to plan their heist. And it's just contrasted, like once, you know, this pristine room that's super clean and I forgot the word, whatever. And then you get to see like the other meeting. It's just like in the woods and it's down and dirty and everyone's, you know, all their clothes are put together, but the Empire's, you know, all tailored and stuff. But one's approach is different to the other. One's just like this corporate environment of backstabbing and trying to be better than the next one and like expecting just
climb the corporate ladder.
And it's not about collaboration and like thinking about doing the right thing. And then you look at this other meeting and it's the opposite. It's just like coming together, being a team, working as a team and learning to trust each other for that greater good. So it's just like that's one of the clever things that I think the show it has been doing, just like showing like those two different levels of like how the Empire and the rebels work and how one has the moral high ground, the other one doesn't. What do you guys think about like how those things are presented in the show?
There is such arrogance on the Imperial side. They're like, you know, we handle the problem when it's a big problem. If it's something little, like, you know, it's beneath us. We don't need to worry about it. And that's where Syril and Deidre, you know, their stories are parallel. You know, like she sees an issue with, you know, her I forget the name of the box. The
Star Path.
When she, you know, she's like, oh, this was taken from here, and she's starting to put all these things together because she is essentially a cop. You know, and then Syril, who's like, these two got killed here, and then you know, just something about this person from Kenari. And he's starting to put things together, even though he screwed up spectacularly. You know, it's messed up how the Empire and the corporals, they treat these smaller problems, and those two were onto something, and they could have nipped a good portion of the rebellion in the bud by
right then and there.
Yeah. And that's, you know, that's their arrogance, and that's, you know,
which is kind of the disappointing thing about some of these characters, because Deidre and Syril, if they have been placed in a different circumstance, they could have been force agents of good, right? They could have been great assets to the rebellion. They could have been doing good.
Still a chance.
There's still a chance. But they, you know, they could have been working for good instead of like using, because they're passionate, right? They're actually trying to. I'm going to give them credit for something. They're trying to do what they think is right instead of just like doing something because, you know, they want to get ahead or whatever. They actually think that they're doing the right thing, but it's their energy is just placed in, in MAGA world instead of, in freedom world. So it's like, how do you weaponize your talents? Do you weaponize them in something that is kind of going in the wrong direction, or do you do it in something that's actually for the betterment of everyone else? Which I think is the great thing about this show so far. It's been taking a stance of like all those nerds on the internet that are like, Star Wars isn't political.
Yeah,
the show is saying like,
it always was.
It's like, fuck you. Yes, it is. And here we go. Like, it's like politics up your ass, basically. So let's talk about that. Like, how do you guys feel about all the political themes in the show so far? Do you think it's too much? Is it not enough? Is it perfect?
Yeah, I think they're on point. I think they're on point with it. I don't think it's too much. I don't think it's too little. I think it's just whatever's right for the story. They can get as political as they want to get. Only people that are going to get mad about it are people that want to who maybe have those same, like if it's political and the stuff against the Empire, they have those same views. Yeah, looking at yourself in the mirror right there. No, I don't see an issue with it.
John, how do you feel about politics in Star Wars?
I think they're on the right track. But as long as the episodes keep going, like flowing, I
as
think
long as it makes sense for the story. Yeah. Because I think that is the genius of the show. It's not being political for its own sake. It works into the story, because it is the story of a migrant. It is the story of peoples that have been displaced by the Empire. So it makes sense that we're seeing it in different planets and seeing it from different levels of severity, I guess, because we're getting Saw Gerrera. So we're gonna get the extreme side of the rebellion too. So I love how they're doing all these different levels. We're going to the Empire. We're seeing how they work. We're seeing Mon Mothma trying to traverse all these channels. We're seeing Luthen change personas magnificently. And then we're seeing different sides of the rebellion. So let's talk about Luthen and that magnificent
Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah. That was a masterclass of acting.
No lines. Didn't say anything. Just with mannerisms, just conveyed so much. You guys take it. Joanne, what did you think?
I love his handwork. Yeah. He was so like, what's the word? Maybe finicky is the word. Like, he was so sophisticated, and I love that part, and
graceful.
His acting was, I don't know, it changed a lot from one point to another, and I loved it, and I loved his act. I love the way he like suddenly like do his part, like when he was like selling the gift to the incinerator.
Antiquities and whatever.
Right.
Like a gallery owner.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think of Stellan Skarsgård as Luthen Rael?
I equate him, and actually I equate almost the whole story. I was calling him Batman, like Bale, like Christian Bale's Batman. Like how Bruce acts in public to how he is, how Bruce is, by himself or just with Alfred, to how he is as Batman. It's the same thing, and I love how he had to put on all the gear, like loosen up his face almost with the hot towel, put the wig on, practice, like let me get back into this whole character that I play, before he goes back out there. I thought that scene stuck out the most to me, like the layers. This is so good. I'm sorry, like it's I'm so mad. It's so good.
No lines, no nothing, just kind of practicing in front of the mirror to like convert himself into this other persona. And he
swings and then he swings.
And like an actor does, you have to, before you do a role, you have to inhabit that role. You have to, get into that mindset. And first, like when he brought down the mirror, and he just like, he was just like, looking at himself, and there's just like this dour look on his face, and then as he started to change, put the wig on, put the rings on, the bracelets and everything, just get back into the whole thing. Like,
practicing the smile, the Nazi
Yeah.
smile. I'm always happy. I own a gallery. I sell you expensive stuff.
And just like this dangerous game that these guys are playing. That's why I'm so like, we know Mon Mothma survives and whatnot, but I'm like, I feel so worried for everyone.
Yeah.
As far as like, and that scene in his gallery was like, when they said this is going to be a spy thriller, I was like, this exemplifies everything that they were talking about as far as it being a spy thriller.
Yep. Because like the counterpoint to like that scene of him transforming into the gallery owner, it's like when he's with Mon Mothma, and then they go into the back room, and then he just comes back.
Persona drops.
But I like that it's like both
and
of them,
hers
right?
too.
Like, they're all like up here, and all of a sudden they go into the back, like, and it's like, okay, what the hell's going on? And it's just like the same thing. And to your point, it's like it just exemplifies that thriller thing. It's just like, well, we have to be quiet. I can't trust anybody because my driver's different, and I'm stressed out. And like now this back room, so with the cameras off and all that stuff, and like to see that transformation, and then again had them putting their masks back on before going back up. I mean, like, and just come back. It's just like that whole scene.
I sort of compared his acting to Ewan McGregor on Birds of Prey. I don't know if you guys remember.
Underrated movie. Underrated.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah.
So like when I was watching that part, I was like, oh, this is great.
Because there's something so flamboyant about it. When we had met him and he was like so rugged and like, to the point and gruff, and then I'm flamboyant, and the cadence of his voice, everything changed. Yeah. And it was a masterclass. It was so good.
Yeah.
Watch Birds of Prey. It's good. Don't listen to anybody else. It's a good movie. Watch it.
It is actually really enjoyable.
That egg sandwich scene is worth it. But it's the right movie. I was just like, wait, am I talking about the right movie? It's like, no, it is. Anyway, back to Andor world. We've been going on a lot. Episode 4 has had so many cool things. What do you think was like your favorite part of the episode? Whoever wants to go first. You, Chris. Unanimously.
I will choose you.
It may be that scene of him getting ready. Yeah,
the transformation.
There's so many, because the people at Vel's camp. Mm-hmm. There was some great stuff there, and epic realism like in those scenes. Mm-hmm. I think I would say for me it's between that scene with Luthen getting ready to go back out into the world, or everything with the ISB. Mm-hmm. Like those two stick out the most for me.
John, what about you? What was your favorite part of the episode?
I have to say, like, I love the part where we get to see I don't know her name, the part on and it's not on the camp, it's on the what's the name of the place of, no yeah I think it's her.
Okay.
So like I love the part where we get to see the rebellion. Mm-hmm. This start of the rebellion, and we get to like understand the characters, like the start of the rebellion, I would say.
Yeah. So it's just that funny group of
you see them like be this organized. It's like they don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, because they have to be secretive because of the nature of it. So it has to be like separate cells, so you don't see the whole picture of what's happening.
Yeah, you don't get the rebellion from A New Hope. That's just like organized. We got General Aldhani. We got we got uniforms now. It's like now it's just like it's casual Friday every day. Just come fight. Nani, what was your favorite part of it?
I do. Luthen's transformation was insane.
I love say the same thing.
I can if I want to. Seeing Coruscant again was fantastic. Everything that happened, that conversation with Luthen and Cassian Andor on the ship about what your actual motivations are. Where do you want to go with this? Are you actually going to fight the real fight? all of that was great. And there was something incredible about them, like when he's walking with Vel, and it's this beautiful, like pastoral scene in the Highlands, and then suddenly TIE fighters. And I've always loved the sound of TIE fighters, and it sounded even better than usual this time. It's like
I got goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah, especially in the scenery that it was. And
it's quiet. And all
did it startle you? Because I was like, and I love that. I love that scream as well. And I was like, oh, like, you know, just like, you know, having to get by.
Because suddenly you hear like something small in the background, and he freaks out. It's like, get down. And then suddenly you actually hear them. And, oh, so good. And it's like, oh, I'm just walking along, TIE fighters. And it's such a contrast to this like rich people that were, you know, like herders and, you know, have their life up on the Highlands, and now, you know, you can't walk around because, you know, TIE fighters. And now you have to work for industry, and they dammed up your river, and
because colonialism. Let's be honest about it.
And the whole explanation about, you know, the eye of Aldhani, and, you know, the event that's going to happen, which is setting up, you know, the heist and what they're going to use for cover. So, you know, the description of the celestial event now makes me so much more excited to actually see it.
Which we saw in the trailers a little bit. So,
bit, yeah.
Assuming that what we saw in the trailers,
right.
It's if that's it, it's gonna be amazing, because that from the trailer, those were my favorite shots from the trailer, because all the colors, the greens and the oranges and everything. Hopefully that's it. It's gonna be amazing, and that's one of those things. Like, I don't understand how people can not like Star Wars, because look at this. It's just like we're just talking about sounds, and we're getting excited. Talking about like how a planet looks, and it's just amazing. And then you add everything else, it's just beautiful. Even bad Star Wars is good Star Wars.
And that nice kid that's in smart kid that's in, he's gone. He's
dead. Yeah, we called that dead flag already.
He's dead.
He's dead.
When I saw him, just like, that's the kid from the Fast and the Furious, like from the first time the Furious, the little kid mechanic who steals the car to like, and Vin Diesel tells him, don't do this, you're gonna die. What happened? He didn't listen to Vin Diesel, and he died. So it's the same thing with this kid. Just like Mouse in the Matrix, if you know technology, you're going to die.
He's a dead man.
He's
and like, I see the good in him, and I can do it. I'm like, I'm sorry.
You're dead. Death flags all around.
It's like a horror movie. You're a virgin, you're dead.
Or black. If you're black in a horror film, you're dead. Like,
so
before the credits start.
Sci-fi, you gotta have a pure heart, I guess, and you can't make it.
Then you die.
But yeah, this has been an amazing discussion, and there's so much more that we could keep talking, but there's only so much time that we have. But let's before we part ways for the week, and so we await episode 5. What do we want to see for this, either for episode 5 or the series going forward? What are our expectations based on what we've seen so far, Chris?
I don't have any. I'm just letting this thing.
You're here for the ride.
Just give me. I have no expectations for what's going to happen. The writing's that good. Like, it's the way I felt after The Last Jedi, and I know people have their thoughts on The Last Jedi. I don't care. But after watching The Last Jedi, I was After watching The Last Jedi, I was like, I don't know. People are like, oh, what do you think's going to happen next? I'm like, shit, I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go from here. And I feel the same way with this. Like, I have my ideas for certain characters, what's going to happen, but I have no idea what's going forward.
At least we know what 3 characters are dead. Once already happened. And now we got at least 2 that we know.
We got at least 2 where we're pretty sure they're
going to the grave. So Mon Mothma, start opening your dating profile, girl. You're gonna get that space hinge going, or whatever you want. Joanne, what about you? What are you expecting to see?
I want to see more on Keisha involvement at Aldhani, and I love the flashbacks that this actual series is actually presenting about, like, his storyline when he was like a little kid, and I want to see his involvement on the rebellion, and what accumulates in order to get to Rogue One, everything that comes beforehand to the actual events of Rogue One.
for him to actually be a respectable spy, because he kind of sucks at this point a little bit.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be a spy yet, so give him some credit. Like he's doing his best without any skills.
Real quick, did you see like when because I've been watching, it's been on repeat on my other monitor. I just been watching, having the episode on here. So I was at the part where Luthen is talking to Cassian on his ship.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone else get any like Jin vibes from Cassian?
Well, yeah, because especially with him giving him the kyber crystal and everything, it's kind of like
there's that
same dynamic of like, okay, well, you're for me, it's like, oh, when Jin's mom gives her like the kyber crystal and she's let us like, oh, I'm entrusting you like with this, so that you can aspire. So yeah, so I think it's the exact same thing except with just different mentor, and it's one of those things that it's just like, okay, you've learned to survive on your own, but now you have to learn to fight for something greater than yourself. Yeah. So it's a parallel journey in that sense, and they both got sweet ass kyber crystals. So yeah, 100% agree. Hopefully he doesn't lose it or sell it, but
yeah.
Hopefully.
Nani, what are you looking forward to?
I'm with Chris on this. I mean, it's so good, and we know how a few of the characters are going to end up. We're assuming most of them are not going to survive the series, but because we don't know exactly when they die, there's this element of tension that is not always around us in Star Wars because we know so much of the story. Right. And here, every single time that a fight happens, something, somebody might die in this exact moment. And they've been really good at building that sentiment over and over. So you start falling in love with a lot of the characters, like the budding rebellion. You already love like most of them already. And you know, not all of them are going to make it. It's like, oh, thank you for making me love a character. And I don't know how long he's going to last.
Right.
We don't even know if they're going to last the season. So I'm just really looking forward to enjoying the ride. And I really want to see Cassian's development. I do want to eventually end up again in Ferrix and seeing how he changed and how that affects his relationship with Marva and Bix and B2 Emo, because we gotta protect our droids.
Bless our sweet boy.
And that's Imperial occupied now. Ferrix is so it's about to get worse.
It's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
And him being away from home, he's probably gonna be guilty when he comes back. It's like, it was my fault that this all started. So, and I'm looking forward to see if he actually finds his sister. And
true. I hope they don't drop that plot thread. It's like, wait, that's what started it all.
Because that was the whole thing started. It's like, him leaving his sister behind.
Hey, Ray, I gotta tell you something.
Episode 1 was about him looking for his sister. Yeah, I know. So they have to look into that again.
Yeah.
So.
Where's your sister? I agree with all of that. But my big want and desire for the rest of the show is my girl Bix. Like, I'm a Bix Colleen stan. They're Hona, Puerto Rican for the win. So you say we gotta get her back. She's she's a leader of her community. She's single finally, so she can also get on the dating apps.
She had a terrible boyfriend.
She had a terrible, kind of a loser. Let's talk about it. But I want to see her. I want to see her. Do some more good in this show. I don't want her story to be over.
Kind of step more into that leader role of her community. Yeah, that'd be really awesome.
Slap Cassian around, telling him, hey, stop dicking around.
Stop being an idiot.
Yeah. But with that, I think we've had like a wonderful conversation, and we'll have many more as the show progresses, and like with all the plethora of Star Wars shows that are coming out, I'm sure that we're gonna keep talking about all this really good stuff. But before we go, Chris, where can people find you and Broaxium, or if there's anything else you want to plug?
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube under Broaxium. It's BRO Axiom, is how you spell it. We have an Andor show that we do. It's a recap of the previous episode where Dan gives his top 3 moments, and we put that out like the day before the next episode comes out. Just kind of get people, you don't have to get people hyped for this show. They're already hyped for the show, but we do it to get people hyped for the show. And it's called
a little extra.
Yeah, just a little extra. It's called Dandor. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So yeah, we have that. We have Shooting the Poodle on Sunday nights live 9:00, where it's Star Wars centric, but we talk about other stuff as well. And it's just us goofing off and having, just being idiots. But we have that. We have our quick shots.
Always good.
Yeah, we have quick shots on Tuesdays where we preview the week's Star Wars comics. Next week we have It's The Mandalorian issue number 4, which is out, and it's an adaptation of the series, like straight adaptation of the series. And the art's fantastic, writing's really good. So yeah, that's pretty dope. And the Star Bros podcast, they have one coming out this week, I think, and they're talking about Andor. So yeah, we got a bunch of stuff going on for sure.
Awesome. Well, in terms of comic books, I'm curious, what are you most looking forward to that's coming out soon? Because I know Crimson Reigns, comic books. I know Crimson Reigns done, but what's, hopefully you say High Republic, right?
Oh yeah, High Republic. Yeah, I can't wait for that. But like Hidden Empire, Charles Soule's Crimson part of the last chapter in his Crimson Dawn trilogy, that starts up I think next month, and I cannot wait for that. Ethan Sachs' Bounty Hunters series has been great, and he's like a cover was just released today, and it's like my favorite. It's an amazing looking cover, but it's got my favorite Star Wars character on there, and that's Iden Versio. So I'm really looking forward to what happens with that story. So yeah, those are fantastic. The Greg Pak's Vader book. If you're a fan of the prequels, Greg Pak's Vader run has been a love letter to the Kitster's in it right now. Like, and this is like post Empire Strikes Back, and it got Kitster and I keep forgetting the name of their Rhodian friend from the from the prequels, but they're all there, and that's fantastic.
One that didn't high five Kitster and Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Every time I see that thing, it's like, George, just take another. Do it again.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never thought I would see adult Kitster back in.
Yeah, this is why those comics are important. They're amazing stories in these books, and people need to, it's great Star Wars storytelling. Absolutely.
Yeah, people don't sleep on anything. Read the books, read the comic. Everything's wonderful. I should apply that lesson to myself. But with that, I think now let's sign off until the next one.
Well, thank you for joining us, Chris, so much.
Thanks for having me.
Andor is so good. We're so glad that you were back to join us. This was a great conversation. But until next time, we are Triad of the Force. You can find us anywhere that podcast can be found. Just search Triad of the Force. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter, Instagram. Just search us. Give us a chance. Give us a like. Give us a comment. Just, let us know what you think. T-shirts. And until next time, may the Force be with you.